What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing the mock draft 12.0. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun YouTube jazz. Would love for you guys to stick around. We just reached 6,000 subscribers, which is awesome. We're already past 6,100, which is even more insane because the growth has been tremendous. So it's all thanks to you guys. If you guys have not already checked it out, look at the fan mock draft that just dropped yesterday. If you guys don't like how it turned out, the only person to blame is yourself. Come join the Discord. It's absolutely free, and sign up to be the next GM of your team so that when stuff like that happens, it's not a bad thing because you're the one who controlled the picks. And again, that mock draft went over way better than I expected. So we are 100% going to be doing it way more often. And I also get to have more of you guys get involved, which is even better. So let's get right into this. We'll talk about the Damar Hamlin situation actually right now. Absolutely awful. I saw it when it happened live. It absolutely breaks my heart to see somebody go through like anybody. I mean, to witness it alone is shocking. So hopefully you guys are all doing well. We all have Damar's family and our thoughts and prayers. But I love Damar coming out of Pittsburgh. He was a really damn good player, and he was one of my guys in that draft. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And just to see something like that happen to a person, it really reminds us how mortal we are. Even though we put up these players on such a pedestal, they're humans too. And a lot of times we get mad at maybe a kicker, like that Ruggles guy from Ohio State for missing a kick, but we forget about the fact that they're a human. They're not just, a player. And it's an awful way to get a reality check. And I hope that he's going to be perfectly fine. Usually in those situations where your brain doesn't get enough blood pumping through it, like CPR can't really work for 9+ minutes. Doesn't always work out that way. Majority of my family who are, the people who I know who are doctors, they don't seem to be too optimistic, but I'm just hoping that we could find something optimistic to look forward to. And the fact that he's in stable conditions, awesome. Again, it's just truly heartbreaking to see someone who I loved as a player, but also I know a lot of people loved as a person just go down that way. And I hope that the miracle does happen. I do. And seeing people like Skip Bayless, I know a lot of people are coming to his defense saying that, he said that it seems like all irrelevant at this point. If you actually read that tweet, unless it was legitimately the worst worded tweet of all time, doesn't seem like it was genuinely sincere. So for the people trying to cover for somebody like Skip, who seemed to have a little bit of a mental breakdown in the past couple months, especially, even though you could probably say it for the past decade, he's having mental breakdowns. Everybody except Skip Bayless seems to be in the right mindset. So I'm so happy to see that, even though it's been an awful, tragic situation, that we've all been able to come together and support somebody where maybe not many people knew exactly who Damar Hamlin was, but we all understood the humanity and the person behind the helmet. So that's a long-winded way of saying, keep our thoughts and prayers for Damar, and hopefully he gets better. But it's a scary situation. It's just something to always remember, that every time someone gets hit, some crazy shit can happen. And just got to remember, when players decide to retire early, like Andrew Luck, Calvin Johnson, maybe it's for the best, because shit like that happens. So let's get right into this. Let's get out of the, depressing state that happened last night. Again, just absolutely ground shaking stuff. But let's get right into this. Number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. CJ has helped his stock quite a bit by his game versus Georgia. I'm waiting for the all 22 to come out. I don't make my moves based off of game tape. I moved him up because of the fact that if you play really well versus Georgia, I know I'm going to move you up, but that's not an official spot. I'm waiting for the all 22 to come out, and that's going to take probably a little bit. Hell, I mean, even the game tape, the condensed game tape, is impossible to find at the moment. So we got to wait. We got to wait and see. But if you join the Discord, when it does come out, we'll do it with you guys, because that's the best part. But yeah, Bryce Young, to me, he's still going to be the QB1. He's really good out of the system. He's played with the worst offensive line, worse weapons, tighter windows, and he makes a lot of mistakes here and there. But we actually get to see him be human, get to see him play at a level that will probably be replicable in the NFL, where you will see these real translatable situations. And Bryce Young succeeds in a majority of them. So the injury potential, certainly concerning. The size, obviously very concerning. He's probably going to be 5'10" when he measures out. Very scary stuff. And could he fall because of that 100%? And if that is going to be the thing where it's like, okay, well, CJ is going to be looked at as QB1 because of size exclusively, then if I'm the Texans, I'm 100% trading down. I'm going to get as much draft capital as possible, and then maybe at pick number 4, end up drafting Bryce Young, right? But I digress. Bryce Young, still an amazing talent, super mobile, good enough arm. He can put it in a tight window. His play style is very similar to Deshaun Watson, but doesn't have the frame, which, again, just because it hasn't really been done in recent memory doesn't mean it can't be. So hopefully Bryce Young can prove all of us who are very concerned wrong. Pick number 2 for the Bears. I heard Jalen Carter was extremely inconsistent all game long. Again, I watched the majority of the game, but I was also out at dinner with my family, so watching it in the corner of my eye is not exactly the most in-depth way to watch a game, because again, it was New Year's Eve, and I wanted to spend it with my family. So hopefully you guys understand that, and you guys usually are very understanding. But I heard that Jalen Carter was not super consistent. That's been my knock on him all season long. That's why you see he is number 4 and not number 1. I say this guy is the most freaky player in the class, but he also has his inconsistencies, 100%. But at the same time, you got to realize this kid's 20 years old. He produced like a monster at 20 or at 19 years of age, and this is a Georgia line that is impossible to produce in. So I don't necessarily fully agree, because again, if we're going to try to talk about Brian Breezy as a top prospect, my God, Jalen Carter is in a different league. He is. And if Jalen Carter ends up being more consistent, you're going to get yourself a Chris Jones 2.0, and that is going to benefit your team for 15 years. We see tons of edge rushers come out every single year over the past couple of years. And yeah, it's a thinner class later on, but I think this class is deep enough to where you get good enough value. Defensive interior, not so much. So I'm still going to go Jalen Carter here. And then, you get whatever's left over for Seattle. I don't really think you need to try to think too much about it. CJ Stroud, a lot of people are going to clamor for it. Personally, I'm still not on board. His situation's so hard to translate. Great offensive line, great weapons. Like, you're just not going to have that situation in the NFL, most likely, unless you're on a Super Bowl caliber team, which a lot of other quarterbacks can probably produce in as well. Pick number 4 for the Cardinals. Again, this is a no trades mock because, again, that's why we have a no trades, because we get to put ourselves in a situation where, when I want to get out, I can, just probably trade and get the hell out of there. But in this situation, I'm forced to make a pick. And I'm down to 2 guys. It's down to Myles Murphy and then a corner. Maybe not 2 guys, but 1 guy in a position. Keely Ringo, not going to do it. Would I trade back? Like, maybe let's just say a team like the Jets are like, hey, we want CJ Stroud. Like, we have guys who, like, we're good at distributing the ball. This guy's a perfect fit. We'll give you 2 firsts to move up to number 4. That's a perfect thing to do. I think that'd be a great choice, especially because you guys are not going to have Kyler Murray for a hot minute. So that would be a great idea. But I just don't know if there's a corner worth this pick that fits you. I love Joey Porter. You guys see where he is on my board. And before you guys start ripping me a new one about Isaiah McGuire, come to the Discord. The link is in the description of the video. I continue hammering it because you guys can always DM me and just ask me, hey, I want to see some Isaiah McGuire tape. And the next time I do a film study, I'll make sure that you get a notification, and then we can end up watching him. Because, again, I'm perfectly fine being proven wrong. I'm more than fine doing that because I don't want to give you guys BS, but I want you guys to see what I see. And a lot of people try to come at me and say, I've seen the highlights, and he's not as good as you say. Highlights don't mean jack shit. I'm going to be honest. Highlights don't mean nothing. It's how you do every single play. And this guy consistently makes an impact, and I love him to death. But we'll talk about him at another point. But again, I'm looking at Joey Porter Jr. here, and I'm heavily keying in on Myles Murphy. And for me, I want someone who can help stuff the run. I want somebody who can pass rush as well. Myles Murphy's a perfect fit for that. You have multiple edge rushers on this team that are developmental as well. But, again, you're getting Carlos Dunlap essentially here. And that's somebody who's been in the league consistently for a long period of time, making an impact even as of last week. So I think it's the best move. I would personally trade out. But, when we're stuck with our back against the wall, that's the best move. Here, we're going to go CJ Stroud. Had a great game. against Georgia, and that's the best thing. It's great that he lost because he went out on a super high note. I said Brady should have retired in the offseason because he went out losing to a fluke huge play to the Rams. And that is the way to end off the greatest of all time career. CJ Stroud, if he went to the Natty and then ended up performing worse than that, the bar was already set so high for him to perform like that again. He would have disappointed. So that's honestly the best thing that could have happened to him is he balled out, and then a missed field goal was the reason they lost. So CJ Stroud, I have my reservations about him, but this is certainly a team that could have the guts, and they could have the system that fits what CJ Stroud should have. Pick number 6 for the Leones. So Lions, I hate doing this thing over and over again, but y'all know exactly how I feel. It's just Joey Porter or nothing. I would take him at number 4 overall. I'm taking him here at number 6. I hate to be plain Jane and go the same thing over and over again. I don't think there's anybody remotely close that I would consider compared to him. I don't see anything that could remotely move my idea of where you should go. So it is what it is. But pick number 7, I do think Will Levis should be at least considered for this pick. I used to think that's crazy, but I'd personally be at least open to taking a shot on him. I would say if you can spend a 3rd round pick on Cam Rising, not an awful not an awful pick at all. You saw how much of an impact losing Cam Rising was to Utah. I think that could be another way where you spend a mid-round pick that really doesn't always have a big impact and actually change your franchise because of it. But you got to hammer home on this edge rushing room. Jared Verse is a perfect fit for this squad. You guys have had an awful 2-year run in terms of sacks. And obviously getting multiple guys like D'Angelo Malone as well as Arnold Ebiketie is a great way to start sparking that fire, and I love Arnold Ebiketie. Was not as high on D'Angelo Malone, but I know that, it's way too early to tell. But when you have someone of Jared Verse's talent level, certainly should be at least considered. I love the idea of going a corner 2 here, but I know that's not high on the priority list. I would say this class is very thin, so I would not say that it's against my intuition to try to pull the trigger to make sure I get good value. But, when the value's there, you take it. Tyree Wilson, though, he's someone who can help stuff the run as well, be kicked inside or outside. At this spot, with Jared Verse's injury history as well, Jared Verse had 1 year of production, similar to Tyree, but Tyree's 6'6" and 275. Jared Verse is about 250 pounds. I think Tyree Wilson's going to get a lot of hype. It's definitely interesting to see where that would go. I want to change it up because I have gone Jared Verse multiple times for this team and go after someone who I really do like. I love the potential. So, even though he's not ready day one, the potential of who he could be is better than the majority of players who are still on the board. Pick number 8 for the Raiders. Peter Skoronski, certainly something that I do love. It feels like a Raiders pick. I love the idea of going corner as well. And I'm not 100% sure what the defense that you will eventually be running would be, but it's down to me, Keely Ringo and Christian Gonzalez. I don't know if Keely Ringo deserves the respect of being in the top 10 after being burnt toast. And yes, the stats say that he did perfectly fine, but the eye test didn't. You can see him getting toasted consistently. And yes, that's against a potential Hall of Fame wide receiver, but Keely is great as a deep threat. He really is great as a deep threat. And for that, I'm going to go after someone who's maybe a little bit further down on a lot of people's boards, including my own. But his ball hawk ability is incredible. He's improved his ball skills exponentially, and that was one of my biggest knocks on him in the preseason, was that he can't really, when the ball is there, he doesn't really get his hands in the passing lane, and he's totally flipped the switch to being one of the best against passes defense. So maybe not statistically, but when you watch him play, he's able to get his hand in the passing lane. He's able to get his hands on the ball. I really do like what Christian Gonzalez could be. He has some major flaws, but I think this is a team that can kind of take a couple stumbles to be able to make those big plays. Pick number 9, another team where, you could go Will Levis here, but I do kind of want to stray away from QB in the meantime just to feel out other positions that we could go. I love the idea of Cam Smith, Keely Ringo, another huge freak for you guys. Jared Verse, though, I mean, I want to test out the like let's go edge early. I know corner is just such a huge need for this team as well. Linebacker in there too. Brian Branch would be a pretty freaky option for this team. But again, this is another spot where I would be willing to trade back. I went Cam Smith last time. I might want to go Keely Ringo for this time just for fun. But I kind of want to, like, I know that quarterback with Will Levis, probably the most probable pick. But we'll see what happens. I don't want to go QB this time. Let's go Jared Verse. I love the fit. Again, another Florida State edge rusher. You declined 2 firsts and a second for your own Florida State edge rusher and Brian Burns. So being able to get another one who has almost as good talent as Brian Burns, because I was a big Brian Burns guy, totally worth it. I love the idea of Jared Verse and Brian Burns creating a nice front there. It's a nice little breath of fresh air. So let me know what you guys think about Jared Verse at number 9. Number 10, if the board falls this way, we're going Keely Ringo out of Georgia. I'm a big fan of that. Pick number 11. Now, what are the odds that Will Levis could be this pick? Because we kind of are starting to feel like Malik Willis isn't the option. And that sucks. I knew that this was potential chance for Malik Willis. I put him as my QB2 because, hey, if he turns out to be a really good player, he has a great arm, he has a great maneuverability, and he has great character. Like, definitely you could tweak him. But I don't know if this is the offense necessarily to tweak for him. And Will Levis has better processing, in my opinion. He has, he doesn't have a better character because Malik is still an awesome guy. But it's certainly something you need to at least consider. And I'm not going to go with him this time. But I really want you guys to give me some feedback on what you think Will Levis could be in this offense, because I think he'd be a better version of Ryan Tannehill. Like, Ryan Tannehill seems to be a very interesting comp. Like, Carson Wentz is the comp right now, but Ryan Tannehill's not that far off of what Will Levis could be. And I really like that idea. And I know that you have 2 teams in your division that would love Quentin Johnston. I think that would be a great move. I think offensive line needs to be also something you do look at. But at the same, well, to be fair, I think that you could see the Texans going after Peter Skoronski, given that Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard both are asking for some big cash. But at the same time, I think that they're going to pay Laramie Tunsil. I think they are, because they're going to have a young quarterback. They have a lot of money. It's a great time to be able to pay a tackle. And then Titus Howard still has another year, so you can worry about that then. Peter Skoronski has never been a right tackle. So I'm going to go Quentin. I am. I'm going to go Quentin. You're taking him away from the Jags potentially as well, probably as the Texans. So it's a good way to get that nice balance and be able to not face a 6'4" dominant receiver who just went off versus Michigan of all teams in that college football playoff game. So pick number 12. I think Jordan Addison, not a bad move at all. I think Paris Johnson, again, you could put him at guard. You could see wherever he fits. Would be a nice, flexible choice. Trenton Simpson's really fun. I could, of course, get somebody who is a little bit lower ceiling but higher floor in the next round. Probably something I want to do when you have Christian Harris already there, who is essentially that super athlete with the lower floor. But I loved Christian Harris. I love that pick so much. I digress. Jordan Addison, I want to get him higher in these mock drafts. And I know that there's multiple positions the Texans can go. But getting Jordan Addison, getting him his version of Jameson Williams, much shorter than Jameson Williams, but getting his own deep threat, having him paired up with John Mechie and then Nico Collins, never a bad thing. And I think it's just a fun spot. It's a fun spot to go. Jordan Addison at a USC. The Jets, if they are sitting here, I think that they're kind of starving for a quarterback who actually has like a personality of a leader. And Will Levis is exactly that. Somebody who's willing to put his own health on the line, which not really the day to talk about something like that. But I want to test it out. I've never done this before, but the Jets are sitting there. It's obvious Zach is not the answer, and that defense is top tier. So you don't have to force Will Levis to make the big play, but he still can. And, you can't get much worse, so why not try to get better? Pick number 14. So Washington, Peter Skoronski is literally that dude. I love taking Peter Skoronski to this team. Can he play guard for you guys? 100%. Can he play tackle? I think 100%. And I think the short-term need is guard, but the long-term need could be that left tackle spot. And Peter Skoronski is a perfect fit for this team. I just gave the middle finger to the Steelers, and I am perfectly fine with that. But Steelers in the first round, I would definitely think Trenton Simpson would be on Mike Tomlin's watch list, but I'm not going to necessarily go there. DB with Cam Smith and Jalen Jones certainly should be in the consideration. I mean, Cam Smith seems to be like a Steeler, but our Steelers, we've not done a very good job in recent memory of corners in the first. We've traded for guys who are DBs and worth a first-round pick, and that's proven to be very fruitful. But I think offensive line needs to be the position we go. Anton Harrison has left and right tackle versatility. I want to show him a little bit more love. I'm going to scroll down my board so you guys get to see more as well. I'm going to show him a little bit more love. A lot of people are going to say I'm crazy for that. I know, it's up to your guys' opinion, but this is my tackle 1 and 2. We just rewatched Anton, and even against a player I have ranked at number 13 above him, he did a very good job managing that game. And I think that shows that he's able to handle power very well, so long as he stays square to the target. And that's probably one of my big issues with him, is that sometimes he will get where his shoulders are not perfectly square to the player he's blocking. And that could prove to be a big negative. But at the same time, he's someone who can play right tackle as well. He started out the year at right tackle. And that is invaluable. Being able to switch from left to right tackle and at least have experience, definitely worth it. Pick 16. Brian Branch is the guy who I'm heavily targeting here. I know edge rusher, you are without Rashawn Gary probably for at least half of the year. Totally agree. But if you can get somebody of the talent level of hell, even Darrell Shawmy in the third, like you guys are really good at picking up that day 3, day 2 value. Probably worth a little bit more. And I know at least one of these safeties are going. And I love the idea of Brian Branch. Another guy who should probably be playing corner that they're going to put at safety, so, it fits. But, I mean, I just love that idea. Brian Branch on this squad, having him being mentored by Jair Alexander, that just seems like a match made in heaven. Pretty sure Amos is gone, and that's literally that's a hand-in-glove fit to be able to replace him. Pick number 17. I know, my Lions fans are probably like, dude, I would love to have 2 DBs in the first. That's what happened in the fan mock draft, spoiler alert. But at this pick, Brian Breezy's here, could definitely take a shot on him. He just declared, which means he is comfortable enough. But the fact that he was deliberating, to me, indicates that he was not fully sold on coming out. And I want to try something new. This guy is still on the board, and it's been a while. I want to try something new or old, depending on what we're talking about. But new in recent memory, Trenton Simpson. You could be going after Noah Sewell, obviously Penny's brother, in a later round, but I just don't have faith in Penny. And Trenton Simpson, that's going to be your hyper-athletic linebacker. You have Malcolm Rodriguez already, who's going to be a stud for you guys for a couple of years. I don't really have that true consistent veteran like a Jack Campbell, who's going to be a good leader. But Trenton Simpson has that super high ceiling where I'd give it some time and maybe bring in a nice veteran in the offseason. Pick number 18. So we went Will Anderson already. And I do think that when you do look at the guys who are left on the board, and Brian Breezy definitely is at least considerable, and probably the range where he would go. If he heard late first, I don't think he would come out. So this seems to be in that right range. They probably said, hey, you're going to be 15 to 25. Brian Breezy, never a bad choice because, again, this defense is already super high talent, super high level of talent in terms of production. I think that you can take a swing on somebody where he's 79 or 78 on my board right now. But the fact is, if he does hit, I understand his ceiling. And this is a good spot to say, hey, if he busts out, 1, we already have our superstar in Will Anderson. But 2, now we have a more consistent pull, or we can take on a risk because we're more consistent elsewhere. So I do like that quite a bit. But pick number 19. Cam Smith's here. That's a guy who I'm primarily going to target. But Antonio Johnson to play in the slot. I know that Darius Williams, you guys have been saying this a lot, has been playing very well on the outside. at least admirably enough to not immediately go after Cam Smith. So we might halt the horses on that. Interior offensive line, I don't think it's good enough. This class is just kind of booty cheeks for that regard. Tight end, I think Luke Musgrave's a much better fit, and I would personally try to tag Evan Engram. Tight ends don't usually get paid that much, so if you can just tag him for 1 year and pay probably like $12 million, just take it. Just take it, because I'd rather see like Evan Engram go off 2 years in a row and spend $12 million on it than to let him go, watch him ball out, and then have a rookie and be like, damn, we could have had somebody of the talent level of Cam Smith on our roster. Defensive interior, Brian Breezy would have been another guy where you could have potentially taken him here, but I don't think that would be the best choice. Linebacker, you're pretty much like solved for a while. So, I mean, tackle too. Paris Johnson's here. I'm going to take Paris. We're going to take Paris Johnson. It's a very, very good left tackle. I think that his best fit would probably be a right guard. But, he's somebody who's very versatile, very athletic. He has anchor issues, which means that guys push him back really easily. But, he definitely was able to stand on his own 2 feet there against Georgia. I would say Georgia's edges aren't necessarily like the most crazy in the world at the moment. So it's not like they're having like #1 overall talent that he's facing, but they're not bad players at all. I'd be more focused on the interior of the offensive line, and there's that right guard for Ohio State, number 55. I think he's draft eligible. If he comes out, we might be featuring him in some of these mock drafts. Pick number 20 for the Buccaneers. We got Bijan still on the board. Would love to take him eventually, but I do know some DBs are coming up for a contract, and Cam Smith is sitting there. I think I might want to take him. I'm dropping Anthony Richardson because I want to test out like what happens if he does drop. This is kind of the perfect place, though. You're in Florida still, and you have time to develop him because I think Brady is gone. Your team's just not going to be good enough. So Anthony Richardson, it is, of course, would be very considerate of guys like Cam Smith as well. But we're going to leave it. We're going to enjoy it. Anthony Richardson, super high ceiling player. You guys see where he is on my board, right there at number 31. Just potentially too good to pass on. Pick number 21 for the Patriots. And, Broderick Jones is here. I'm just not going to think about it. I don't think I really need to. Isaiah Wynn could be brought back, but, when you can get a cheap contract on a top-tier offensive lineman, I don't think you think twice about it. Pick number 22, this is going to be Cam Smith, 99%. Jack Smith-Njigba is a good target as well, but getting someone who's super locked down for Wink Martindale's defense, which when I think of Cam Smith, I think of a Baltimore Raven, which, as of last year, was Wink Martindale's system. It's just a perfect fit. I love Cam Smith, and it's a great spot for him to go. Pick number 23 for the Ravens. I want to get a more reliable receiver for Lamar. I'm going to go Jackson Smith-Njigba. Going to be the right choice. Pick number 24 for the Chargers. I think Michael Mayer, he's going to go in the first, so out of respect to him, we'll take him here. I don't think tight end's going to be the big needle mover, but certainly feels like one of those spots where people are going to purposely overdraft it, and especially because I think the Chargers would be like, hey, I don't want to face Michael Mayer against the Bengals in the AFC playoffs. Might be a good choice to play defense and get someone who you at least know is going to be a very consistent player for the rookie/second contract. Pick number 25 for the Bengals. Jalen Jones still here. I love Jalen Jones. He's a top 10 player for me. Antonio Johnson, I love him as well. Bijan's still here, man. Bijan's special. I love Bijan. He's my RB2, which people are going to call me insane, but I'd still take him above my RB1 based off of his fit. I think talent-wise, he's second best to Deuce Vaughn, but in terms of actual application, Bijan at literally, I think, 50 pounds heavier than Deuce Vaughn just makes a lot more sense to draft before you get someone of the talent level of Deuce Vaughn. I digress. Edge rusher definitely isn't out of the consideration here. You have guys like Nolan Smith and Felix Udike-Uzama who could just be really, really big pluses on the squad. Nolan Smith reminds me a lot of, I'm forgetting the guy, man, is Azeez Ojulari, and then the guy that you guys drafted out of Texas, and I was a big fan of him too. It's kind of annoying that's slipping my mind, but definitely somebody who I would at least consider. I do like the idea of Osiris Torrance here. You have guys on 2-year, 3-year contracts. I don't think it should be out of the question to end up going offensive line. But tight end, honestly, tackle is a big concern for you guys. Tackle and tight end are probably the ways that I would look. I'm going to go Darnell Wright. He has been very consistent at left and right tackle. He played very well. I was worried. There's some reps on there that definitely are concerning, but he's somebody who has starter potential in the long run. Like, I would say he'll start his first contract, but there he is at number 37 on my board. He will start, but maybe not make it past the first contract, that 5th-year extension on as a starter. There's a concern there, but definitely worth taking over re-signing other guys for extensive amounts of money, so never going to be a bad thing. Pick number 26. I am debating taking Bijan here because I know Cook. A lot of people are saying Cook could potentially be cut. I think that to me, it's down to the 3 players. 3 players right here. It's going to be Bijan, Jalen, and so Bijan Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, as well as Jalen Jones. So 2 Jalen's. And I think you just want to bolster the defense. Like, Jalen Hyatt's a great choice here. Same thing with Bijan, but Jalen Jones is my number 7 player in the draft. So I'm going to naturally be a little bit more biased. There he is right there for you guys. I'm just naturally going to be a little more biased towards that. But still a phenomenal player. I love him to death. Would have also went probably to the Cowboys because I think Cowboys need a DB. And checking out the guys available, like Clark Phillips is there, but I'm not overly sold on him. So let's look at other choices for the Cowboys. Bijan, I think Deuce Vaughn in like the 3rd round would be so much better value. Jahmyr Gibbs in the 2nd, so much better value. And apparently Jahmyr Gibbs might be going in this like 20 to 25 range. I highly doubt it. That's been like a report that came out. Of course, some people thought Malik would go number 2 overall. So let's not get overexcited here. Defensive interior, not worth it. Like, Antonio Johnson would be nice, though. As like a slot/safety, that'd be honestly really crucial. I mean, I would rather take him than Anthony Brown. So let's just try it. I haven't done this in a while. Let's go Antonio Johnson. Let me know what you guys think. Pick number 28. So the Broncos continue performing poorly and continue getting a worse pick. You gotta love how the NFL works, right? Especially when it comes to these traded picks. It's kind of funny. But offensive line, you have guys like Osiris Torrance. I know Dalton Reisner is coming up for a contract. I want somebody who's going to be more consistent. Andrew Voorhees would probably be the guy who I give the nod to, but I can't deny the potential of Osiris Torrance. So without tackles on the board, I'm still going to try to bolster the line. Osiris Torrance is the way to go. Pick number 29, God forbid, this is Bijan. We're not going to talk about it. It is what it is. Pick number 30, I know that just crushed all my Eagles fans right there. Pick number 30 for the Chiefs. I really want to go my boy Isaiah McGuire, and I'm going to. Like, you guys don't understand how awesome Isaiah McGuire is when you watch him even against Broderick Jones, and there's snap-by-snap gameplay out there, but I'm more than willing to watch it with you. Like, this guy's going up against top 20? Top 21 pick in this draft, and he won the majority of his reps, and he does it against every single tackle he goes against. So I think that he's the most underrated player in the entire draft and deserves so much respect. This is a rough range of where his ceiling could be in terms of his pick because he's going to the Senior Bowl, and guys skyrocket all the time at the Senior Bowl. I think Isaiah McGuire could be one of those. Pick number 31. So Eagles, did we go Ringo with the first pick? Yeah, definitely somebody who fits exactly what you guys are looking for with a deep corner with good ball skills. I think that edge rusher could certainly be in the realm. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, B.J. Ojulari, Nolan Smith, all guys who are very good contenders for this. I think the upside of B.J. Ojulari just feels more like fun. And Nolan Smith would be great, but I do know Hassan Reddick's there for another couple of years, so you could probably wait on somebody of that talent level. You could look elsewhere, maybe so like an offensive lineman. I don't really think anybody's worth it at this point. You got Andrew Voorhees, who has tackle potential, but man, it's slim pickings, man. It is slim pickings at that offensive line spot in this draft. And we already got our top DB. don't need to get a defensive interior enforcer right now. I think the best thing to do is show some love to my number 10 player in the draft, BJ Ojulari. So I'll scroll right here so you guys get to see a quick little recap. Feel free to screenshot or pause it wherever you please. But that's going to be the video, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.